What's up, Windwalkers, and welcome to my Mythic Mugsy guide. It's been well over a month since I got this boss down, and boy, if it wasn't the hardest boss I've ever done. It took a whopping 20 hours of prog before the beast fell, and I might genuinely be one of the most experienced Windwalkers on this boss, for better or for worse. Now, since the initial takedown, the strat for this boss has changed quite significantly, as guilds have opted for the push strat, where you now face the boss at 4 minutes into the fight, which removes an entire set of mechanics and helps trivialize the fight. So, looking at this raid plan, things have slightly changed. There are still 3 jail sets, however, Rocket Soaks are a little bit different. Rocket Soak 1 is now for your immunity classes at the start of the fight, and Rocket Soak 2 no longer exists. Instead, it takes the place of Rocket Soak 3, and the non-immunity classes soak this. As well as this, you remove an entire mindset phase, the 3rd set to be exact. This was one of the hardest sets, so by no longer having it, your raid has much better resources for the final push. This is the gear that I ran for Mugsy, and what I wanted to point out are trinkets. For this fight, I took Eye of Kazan, and I cannot understate how much I value this trinket. Damage in P2 of this boss is crucial, as the fight becomes a race against time. As Kazan ramps in power, it is the ideal trinket for this phase, allowing you to be at your strongest. As of recording, this was the rank 5 Mugsy takedown with the new strat. As you can see, that a good amount of damage comes from Strike of the Windlord, so Gale Force. And this comes down to optimal usage of the cooldown to get value from the intermittent rocket adds, but I'll go through this a bit more during the playthrough. Looking at talents, I have a few thoughts here that are worth considering. Firstly, let's take a look at the monk tree. I like to take Iron Shell here, as Fortifying Brew is a key cooldown for this fight, especially during the mindsets. As mindsets are about 2 minutes apart, you can get away with this talent making your damage reduction significantly better. In addition to this, taking Nijiao's protection gives you an absorb shield on top of this, making your Fortifying Brew defensive absolutely huge, and a key survival button during the encounter. Other than this, I really like Slicing Winds for this fight, because of the rocket ad that spawns, as well for the jail ads to help nuke them down as quickly as possible. I ran it for all of progression, and still, I run it during reclears. I genuinely think it is a must-take. Alright, kind of a pretty long intro, but it's all worth knowing. Anyway, let's run through the takedown, shall we? So, I started off this clip a little bit earlier than on the pull, because there's quite a few crucial things I wanted to go over. Firstly, I'm in every single jail set. What this means is you'll get a good understanding of how to play each jail set as a Windwalker, even if you're not in every single one. Secondly, I want to go over how you use Storm, Earth and Fire in this fight. But first, Transcendence. What you want to be doing is placing a Transcendence before you even pull the boss. You can see that mine is placed right next to the Warlock portal. This is how you're going to get out of the first jail sets. If you're not in the jail set, don't worry about this Transcendence, but if you are, which is highly likely, you want to place one down pre-pull preemptively. Now, what I'm about to tell you is so crucial, you need to do it, or you're trolling your damage. You have to use Storm, Earth and Fire and fixate on Mugsy. There are shockers during this encounter that take reduced damage until Mugsy hits them with his frontal. If you do not fixate your Storm, Earth and Fire on Mugsy, they will bounce to this shocker and start damaging it. Spoiler alert, they don't do any damage to it because it takes like 99% damage reduction. So fixating on Mugsy every time Storm, Earth and Fire is out is so crucial. Please, 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 please do it. Anyway, we've pulled the boss, I popped with my cooldowns, and I'm going to send another Storm, Earth and Fire out here. Because this fight is a lot shorter now, and because you want to push damage, sending it out as early as possible is crucial. As well as this, you no longer soak this soak. Now you see what I'm also doing is I'm holding my Dance of the Chiji proc here for the Rocketeer. The Rocketeer is where Slicing Winds, as well as a lot of your burst damage, is going to come into play here. And holding a couple of cooldowns for each one is what I do throughout this fight. So for this first one, I hold a Spinning Crane Kick proc. I also make sure I get Slicing Winds cast on it. As well as this, I send out a Mini Heart window. But what's also super crucial is sending out Touch of Death on every single one. This gives you the extra 5% damage increase that you can put into Mugsy throughout the fight. So defensives, as I kind of went over in the introduction, I always use Fortifying Brew for every mindset, so that is already on cooldown. I use Touch of Karma on the first and second jail set. You'll see me use it to take no damage and reflect it all into Mugsy, and as well as this, you also see that I've held all of my burst cooldowns for this jail. I held Strike of the Windlord, I held Slicing Winds, I held Fist of Fury, so that I can instantly pop this ad, Transcendence out, and get straight back on the boss. When boots are incoming, make sure you stand in the fire, because you'll get a chilling debuff on you, which means you cannot walk, you'll just slide around like an absolute lemon. So, by standing in the fire instantly, you make sure you remove this, and then you'll stand behind one of the jail cells. Now also you'll see that I'm holding cooldowns here, and I hold cooldowns from the moment that the frontal comes out so that the shocker can take some damage. This is crucial as well, as it means you're going to get more damage out in the fight. So damage windows on this boss are super important too. So now that I've sent all my cooldowns out, make sure to not stand in any swirlies. Quite self-explanatory. You stand in a swirly, you get shocked, you get stunned, you're probably going to die, and your raid leader will not be happy. And then you move down the platform to get ready for the second mindset. Now for this mindset, we were split into different quadrants of what we were meant to stop. My quadrant was the bottom left quadrant, and so I'm constantly looking there to make sure that if anything spawns there and there's no player inside of one, I will jump straight to it. Luckily for me on this run, there wasn't too much going on there. As well as this, I popped a fortifying brew here. Now this is the rocket that we soak. This isn't too bad to not have a defense for, as we have barrier assigned to this rocket jump every single time. And once again, look, the Rocketeer spawns, and what have I done? I've saved my Striker the Windlord. I've saved Slicing Winds, I've saved Fist of Fury, I've basically saved every single burst damage that I have to make sure that I can get as much into 2 targets as possible, and then I touch a Death It to make sure that I can get the 5% damage increase on Mugsy. Now I'm going to be in the next Jail Soak, and I was always on the far right one. Now, what you can do here is place your Transcendence instantly, and that way you don't have to think about it when the jail spawn. However, what I did on this pull is I actually placed it whilst running across, because I'm not sending any other cooldowns out, right? So, what do I do here? I hit Mugsy once more, pop Touch of Karma on him as I run across, place my Transcendence, and make sure I'm in the right jail cell. Easy peasy. And then once again, I've saved Striker the Windlord for this. I have a Fist of Fury, ready to go. I've also got a Dancer Chi-Ji. The goal is to nuke this goon as fast as possible, Transcendence straight out like I just did, and get back on the boss. We can see that boots are incoming again, so make sure you pre-place your character inside of the fire. I was lucky and didn't get it. And now we're coming up to the push. You need to push this for 4 minutes, and my cooldowns are about to come up, and this is when we lust. I send my cooldowns out instantly to guarantee that we get the push exactly when we want it, and it also means that I'm no longer going to have to send my cooldowns out during the intermission, which, honest to God, was the worst part of this entire fight. Trying to do your cooldowns during that intermission was hell on earth, so this strat is actually really, really good for Windwalker. Just make sure that you're dodging all the circles, and you just send everything out, and now we're going into the intermission. Now, what's interesting to note here is that because we have Dance of the Winds, which reduces our physical damage taken by a hell of a lot, you can actually jump through his gun burst. You'll watch me do it here, and I take 0 damage from it. So, I jump across. This gives me a lot of room to play with as I run around the boss, and I'm just sending cooldowns into him. Now, because I'm a Void Elf, I also send out my Spatial Rift here. You'll see it flying across, and then I port straight to my Spatial Rift, and that, once again, allows me to use an extra ability that I have to dodge and get into a perfect position so that I'm not having to dodge as many lightning circles as the rest of my raid. Finally here, I like to preemptively go to the other side of the boss, as this tends to be the side that no one's playing on, so once again, I avoid the lightning, and I'm just sending out my rotation here as we move around. You want to play this super safe, but it's ideal as a Windwalker to get to the perfect side so that you're not having to deal with a whole brunt of the mechanics. It's a little bit cheeky, but it's worth it. So now we're coming to the final mindset, the third mindset in this push strat, and as you'll see, I have a Diffuse Magic ready and a Fortifying Brew. I'm not going to send Fortifying Brew here, as I want that for the final jail set, but I do love to pop Diffuse Magic here. The reason for this is there's quite a bit of magic damage that comes out, so if you just have a Diffuse Magic running throughout this, you'll be alright. Finally, as well as this, I like to send one mini burst window here. I'm saving my cooldowns for the final push, so you'll be holding your cooldowns for at least 30-40 seconds, but that's absolutely okay. You send out the mini burst window here as you're about to go into a jail, and you place your Transcendence again. The idea for sending out this mini burst window right now is super crucial because that means you're going to have it when the jail set spawn. And then I get out, and then we go straight back on Mugsy. And now I'm basically just waiting for my Striker the Windlord to come back up so I get all my cooldowns again. Because we hold cooldowns for so long during this fight, you'll also notice I'm going to have 2 Storm Earth and Fires ready to go for this final push. It all lines up super perfectly for Windwalker. We are out of defensives here, but that's not too bad because the damage is so reduced now at this point that having a health pot and a health stone should keep you okay. And now we're sending out our final burst window. All this damage goes into Mugsy, and this dude is getting absolutely nuked into oblivion. I would actually hate to be this bozo right now. So he's sending out his final abilities, and we send out our second Storm, Earth, and Fire in this window. We're just basically sending him into oblivion, and because we have so much damage and everybody survived pretty much, we don't even see the final mindset. However, I will go over what happens in this final mindset. You'll see that because I pop my Diffuse Magic during the mindset before the 3rd jails, it comes up perfectly for this part of the fight. What will now happen is like 50 mines will spawn, and you'll run down to the other side of the room. But you have to stand inside the fire that was spawned in the middle of the room so that when the ice lancers come in, you instantly pop. I love to pop diffuse magic here on progress, as this means I don't take any damage from standing in the fire. There's a ton coming out already, and you just play it super safe. Then you just run around the boss and basically nuke him down and hope that the ice lancers hit the mine instead of hitting you. And it's GG, well played. Basically, it's a pretty fast-paced fight now because of the push. However, the cooldowns super complement Windwalker now. You're basically getting your big cooldowns off during Lust, you're getting massive windows at the very end of the fight, double Storm Earth and Fires and your big windows as well, and you get a ton of damage during pull. The push strat has actually really made this fight really good for Windwalker and taken away a lot of the annoying parts of the fight, such as having to pop cooldowns during the intermission. So, if you are doing the push strat, be grateful you're a Windwalker. Anyway, I'm really sorry this video took so long to get out. I know, Mugsy, PTSD, whatever. But I really hope this helps you get your first takedown on Mugsy, and good luck in the raid. Windwalker POV, out!